Welcome to Isaiah's Reviews Podcast. My name is Isaiah. My co-host name is Sam. You can get to all my social site links through my website, isaiahsreviews.com. You can get to Sam's social links through his website, flipframevideos.com. You can also hire Sam because he runs a small video production company, so if you need anything done, weddings, home tours, music videos, and more, just go there. Listen to this podcast on YouTube, Facebook. You can stream it off the website, isaiahsreviews.com, Tumblr, and SoundCloud, and Spreaker. So now let's get this show on the road. All right, so this is episode number 8. I do believe it is. We're already up to 8 for the year. I think we just started beginning of the year, isn't that right? Did we start in January? Mm-hmm. It was in January.
Yeah, I
believe
so.
Good. Anyway,
sure.
We're episode 8. This is actually going to air the 24th of February, so if you're wondering when the date was, this is it. We've watched The Witch. It's a film. It's kind of classified as a horror film, even though I didn't feel like it was too much on the horror side of it. But what I want to do is kind of spoiler The Witch. So it's going to be spoiled. If you want to see an unspoiled review of it or whatever, go to Isaiah's Reviews on YouTube. You can see that there. But I think it's just best to dive on in and do it, because last week we did Deadpool and we tried to split it up to where it was, unspoiled and then spoiled, and we ran out of spoiled time. So this way we can cut right into it. The summary is New England 1630. I didn't know it was that year when I watched it, but upon the threat of banishment by the church, an English farmer leaves his colonial plantation, relocating his wife and 5 children to a remote plot of land on the edge of an ominous forest within which lurks an unknown evil. Strange and unsettling things begin to happen almost immediately. Animals turn, crops fail, and one child disappears as another becomes seemingly possessed by an evil spirit. Which suspicion and paranoia mounting, family members accuse teenage daughter of witchcraft. Charges she denies. Her circumstances grows more treacherous. Each family member's faith, loyalty, and love become tested in shocking and unforgivable ways. So that sets up the movie as itself. But let's talk about, I think the director would be a good starting point, because I was kind of curious about the guy myself. It's Albert. I'm an idiot. It's Robert Eggers. He's a production designer and costume designer, and he's known for The Witch, but he's also known for The Telltale Heart. It's 2008, and Hansel and Gretel, where he did, I think, some production design and stuff like that, I think it was. Do you know much about that background?
No, I didn't know much about that. I just knew he said he started in like Shakespearean theater type stuff, and he was an actor.
Yeah, but he was also born like in 82, 83, somewhere in there, so he's kind of like my age. When were you born?
I was born 85.
The oldest. So he's my age.
Yeah.
And apparently, because this did debut at Sundance Film Festival in January of 2015, he's also been picked up to do, let me see here, Nosferatu.
They're doing a remake?
Yep. So they announced July 2015 is reported that a remake of 1922 silent film Nosferatu, based on the Dracula mythology, would be written and directed by Eggers and produced by Jay Van Hoey. So he's apparently picking up steam in the community of this from The Witch at Sundance.
That's so crazy to me. It's so crazy to me that, like, you read the headlines on this and it's like it's doing good. I think it's doing pretty well commercially, because you look at it and you think it's an indie film, but some people are saying it's treading mainstream. But when I saw it, that's not the kind of film I saw. I don't think I wouldn't imagine average audiences would like this movie.
No. And my wife can attest to that. But there's also something else he's doing too. Robert Eggers is to write and direct Rasputin miniseries. So he's going to do that on top of the Nosferatu. So he's gotten pretty busy after the switch.
I'm eager to see his take on Nosferatu. That's pretty cool.
I think so because
this will be the second. Well, go ahead. Sorry.
No. I'm just saying we'll get to why I believe that he's going to do a really good job at anything, sort of. If he's leading it.
Oh yeah.
I think he'll do pretty good. But yeah, we've done the summary and all that stuff. Well, you just want to dive into the beginning of the film, and we'll just dissect both of our opinions. We haven't really talked about it. We text each other a little bit after the fact of watching it, but it wasn't like a lot. We didn't talk to each other. This is the first time we've talked to each other. So the opening scene is they're at this trial, which is like a court hearing thing, and there's people sitting there watching, and they're kind of on trial. The mother and father are standing up there before kind of a judge thing. And you don't really know. I like how they don't spoon feed you. Like, they don't have to break down and tell everything. Just... They're on trial for something, and he kind of says something about taking care of his family religiously. So I feel like there's always been this religious political thing, and I
think they say later on, or we're spoilers, right?
Yeah, we're totally spoilers.
All right. That they were kicked out for being too religious.
Right. So I just feel like that he might have, as a father, realized that he needs to lead the family. He needs to be the head of the household, and actually, maybe he got tired of too much political stuff, because at whenever they're leaving the village, that they ultimately rule that he has to leave, and he's kind of vanquished from this barred village because it does have like walls around it. And whenever he leaves, you see two Indians kind of standing there walking in, and that's important. I think that was put there for a reason. So I wonder if he doesn't like the fact that they're embracing salvages or savages is what I meant, not savages.
Oh, yes. Okay, I see what you're saying. I'm not gonna lie, man. I had a fucking hard time understanding what they were saying. Jess and I both were really struggling to hear the dialogue. I don't know if it was just because we went to a Carmike theater, but every time the sound was good, but I had a hard time keeping up with what they were saying just because of the dialogue. I know that they worked really hard to get the actors to sound authentic, and I appreciate that, but at the same time, I was just like, I'm having a hard time fucking understanding what they were saying.
Well, I do know that they had to learn how to speak, just like the Pilgrims would, and they were debating whether or not to put subtitles down there. And they're like, we don't have to. You can watch the film and get what's happening without dialogue. So they were like, let's just leave it super authentic and not ruin it with subtitles. And I think it worked because you don't really need to understand completely everything they say to understand what's going on. But it keeps the rewatchability there. I mean, you would watch it again.
Right. Oh, exactly. Like, I want to see this movie again. But here's the thing is I did go in with certain expectations because that trailer was fantastic. And it kept saying one of the most horrifying films and whatever. And to me, I know, like, I wasn't going in expecting jump scare the movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't expecting that. I was I just felt like it lacked one extra scene to really kind of push it over the edge. One scene where something else creepy happens, because like I love, like I told you, I love slow burn films. Like I loved The House of the Devil. I was super engaged in that film, and it pays off in the end where it's just like bam, and all this shit just hits the fan. And with this one, there were moments where it's like, something crazy is about to happen. This is getting pretty creepy. But Jess and I both walked out and were kind of like, I guess we were both just still kind of processing what we watched. We're like, it's like, I like the movie, and I'm going to see it again because I have to, because I don't fully understand everything I saw. But
yeah, and I think they're gonna make their money from that because they're like number 4, I think, for the debuting films from that weekend or something. They ranked number 4 or whatever. But I think the people that has an interest that it perked their ears, they'll go back and watch it again. And if you're talking about 2 times the people going to watch is what it did the first opening, they'll make their money because their budget couldn't have been that big at all. I think a lot of their budget went into the costume designing, the location, and building the stuff. Because I did read that they actually used the tools from the day, like the worn axe or whatever they would make back in the Pilgrim days. They used all that stuff to actually make the real farm, and they did it all legit, like it would have been done then. And I thought that was pretty cool, and I kind of knew that before I went to watch it, so that kind of perked my interest right away to look around and to try to look for faults and see everything that they had done and worked hard on set. And that helped keep me engaged through the slope points, was looking at everything that I had knew that they had done or whatever. But I thought it was cool. I thought they did a good job. But anyway, they leave the village, and you see the Indians there in the wall, and the big doors shut. And I think that was kind of an issue. I think the Indians was kind of an issue, even though it doesn't seem like that later on. But they go, and they find their perfect spot. And I don't know if people's gotten kicked out before, or it's just people choose to live outside the village, but there are surrounding people, and we find that later on, which I hope I remember to get to. But if I don't, the daughter gets of age, and they're like, let's send her out to another farm or whatever. So that happens, so that we kind of know that there's existing villages or farms around this village, and they're a day's ride away from the village. They mentioned that. So they choose this pretty little valley that's next to Woodline. Were you about to say something?
Oh, no, I was just agreeing.
Oh, yeah. So they decide to settle there, and they start growing corn, building all this stuff. And they kind of flash forward fairly quick. So their oldest daughter is there. They have a son, and then they have twins, a boy and a girl. And then they also have a baby. So right after that, you see the oldest girl playing peekaboo with the baby. And she's like, boo, 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 boo. And then she goes, boo. And the baby's gone. And then she looks up and she can see some twigs moving and stuff. Yeah. So basically, they kind of don't know what exactly took it. They blame it on the wolf taking the baby. Yeah. But I thought it was quite interesting later on how...
That's a really good scene, too, by the way. Just that peekaboo sequence is great. It was in the trailer, but yeah, I love that scene. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah, and they speaking of the trailer, they don't ruin much for me. Like it picks a lot of the big moments, but it didn't ruin it.
I feel like especially the first trailer, you see most of that footage in the first 15 to 20 minutes of the film.
Right.
There's a couple of other little like quick of the son that's like when he's getting exercise or whatever they're doing to him when he's possessed by the witch or whatever. But like for the most part, it reached a point at about 15 to 20 minutes in where I was like, well, most of these camera shots and not all, but most I've already seen. So I have no idea where this movie's going. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the burn of the movie, the slow burn of the film, you could see select shots from the entire thing, and it's still not ruin it because it's like a collective piece. It's like 1 hour and a half go, and then you're there. You're with the end. You know, whenever it all happens at the end, you were there with it the whole time. And these little shots that they take to make a trailer didn't ruin it, even though it might have showed the biggest things from the film. I thought it was a collective burn together that made the thing good. But anyway, so the baby goes away. I think the dad returns or something like that with dirty clothes, and she's going to wash the clothes by the water. But, I forgot. The dad takes the son with him out because I think he's waking up early in the morning, and the son gradually joins him. He's like, hey, you can't say anything, but I'm going out here to hunt for food. Now, that confused me a little bit. Were they not allowed to hunt for meat?
I don't know. This is where I got kind of lost. I was like...
Yeah, I got a little lost right there.
Well, I don't think she was mad about the dad going. I think she was mad that the kid went with.
Oh,
right?
I know what it was. She would have been mad about how he got the stuff to hunt with because he said he traded in her silver cup, which was her father's. So that was the whole point of lying to her to begin with, was to hide the fact of how they got the stuff to hunt with, because they just went out there. They didn't have a need for hunting supplies, apparently, but they had like these little steel traps and stuff that they bartered with. Mm-hmm. They traded and got from Indians, I think.
Yeah.
So, the son figures this out, and the son takes him on, and they go out there, and they're setting these traps with nothing. Like, the dad catches jack shit. He doesn't do a good job at farming. He doesn't do a good job at catching the meat at all.
Right.
And I think later on, this progresses, the bad stuff, and I think with the
I like that aspect of it, that he's kind of failing at, doing this.
Yeah,
it's not like just a generic, everything works great and I'm awesome. Like when you watch these kind of films, it's like, no, he's actually struggling to do these things. It's actually hard to do, which.
Right.
Anyway,
I totally agree. Yeah, I like that a lot. But I think he returns or something. He's really dirty or whatever. And I think the oldest daughter carries his clothes down to the stream to wash them, and the brother shows up, and I thought this was really cool because the brother wakes up one morning early, the oldest sister's laying there on the floor, and this is pilgrim time, so this kind of like laying on a dirt covered floor with the parents in the bed, and that's it. All the kids sleep on little mats. But the brother wakes up and he looks at the sister's boobs, and this is going through puberty. And I thought that was awesome that they were allowing themselves to explore nature. Like, if you're isolated, you would have to look at a pair of titties going through puberty and go, those are titties. That's my sister. I'm so disgusted at myself, but those are a pair of titties. And I'm going
incest is one of those things.
It's one of those things when you're totally isolated, you have no idea what you're going to look at and find attractive. And if it's your oldest sister, whatever, but they tackled that. They did it. It was what it was, and it made sense to me.
It made sense. It made sense. If people get pissed off about that, like, shut the fuck up.
Stupid.
It's just how things were sometimes.
Right.
Still are. Anyway.
Yeah, and you're looking at back then, which they mention it, but she gets of age. They kind of lend her out to a village next door or a farm next door to marry some guy. So the son, the women may, or the boys may outnumber the girls. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But so he looks at the boobies and kind of goes, "Oh my God, what am I doing?" And then they go back to the stream. They cut to a stream later on, and she's washing her dad's clothes, the oldest daughter. The boy looks at the tits again, and I think she kind of recognizes that he's looking at her tits.
Yeah, I think so too, because she's kind of playing with her.
Yeah,
she's not going to do anything. Like, we're not saying, "Oh yeah, incest," but like, she's not going to do anything. She just thinks it's kind of funny and cute.
Yeah, she's like, "Ha ha, you're looking at my tits," and then they get over there and play a little Gucci, and they're tickling each other. And I don't know if he took it too far, because she was kind of like, "Whoa." And then all of a sudden, one of the twins shows up, and this the twin daughter, the youngest daughter, and she started almost taunting her as a witch, kind of right away, or the oldest girl tried to pretend to be a witch to scare the girl.
What happened was the girl was talking about that there's a witch, and I think she said Black Phillip told her or something, or I don't know. I just know she somehow knows that there's a witch there.
And Black Phillip or whatever is the goat?
Black Phillip is the goat who is also Satan.
Right. He ends up being that way. But they're totally communicating. Like the youngest twin, which I guess is the girl twin, which I think all he wants is girls. So she's communicating with this goat, and you kind of see a little whisper before that scene, I think. I want to say that she's sort of whispering to the goat in one little quick scene. But anyway,
you're saying you hear the goat whisper back, or just her?
No, just her, looking like she's talking to the goat or something. But it was a real quick scene. And anyway, the oldest daughter, she goes over there and she's messing around because witches were a thing. But I think this was pre-witch trials, Salem witch trials. I'm not sure the year, but this is 1630, so I don't know when the Salem witch trials were. I'm assuming this is pre. So the oldest girl's messing with the little girl, like, I'm a witch and blah, 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 blah. So she runs off screaming. And later on that means something because the twins are poisoning the parents' mind into assuming that the oldest daughter is a witch.
Hey, and when did you say this movie takes place again?
It was 1630.
Okay, yeah. Salem witch trials are 1692.
Sweet. I was right. I was scared I was wrong. I was like, is it really pre-Salem?
You don't know when witch trials
You don't know when witch trials was, you idiot. But anyway.
Fraud.
Yeah, what a loser. But anyway. So the brother wakes up and he's trying to save... All right, before I go on, the mother in particular, blames the oldest daughter for losing the baby. So they overhear the parents at night in bed talking about sending her to another farm to, I guess, marry off or something. But so the next morning, the son, the oldest son, wakes up and he's going to go hunt on his own because he's been with his dad when they were trying to cover up the fact that they got these traps set. So they go out. He's getting ready to go out, and then the oldest daughter is like, "I'm going with you. I got to go with you. Or I'm going to whatever." And so she goes. They're doing this together. She's riding the horse. He's walking with the gun in hand. They got a little dog too. So the dog runs off. The boy tries to chase it. The horse is acting crazy, like something's with him. So the boy ends up going missing. Like the daughter makes her way back to the farm, but the brother's gone. The brother makes his way gradually to like the witch's lair, like one of the witches. And I say one of the witches, which I'll clarify later. But he makes it up to this witch's house, and she's like looking pretty as shit. She's got these big old tits sitting up on top of this, tight thingy, whatever they're called. She's looking hot. And that was whenever you got to see color for the first time, which I thought was awesome. Like her cape was red, and that was the first time you got to see something bust through that neutral color.
Yeah, it had like a Little Red Riding Hood feel to it for a second. I don't know. It was interesting. I was like, what's about to happen? Because in the trailer, they show that scene, but right when her foot comes out, it cuts away.
And one thing we forgot to mention right quick is that when the baby went missing, the witch actually ground the baby up. What is those medicinal things, like a grinder? Anyway, she took a stick.
I don't know.
And just grinded it up. In like a cup and rubbed it all over herself.
Yeah.
We left that out somehow. But anyway, all right, now we're back at the boy and continue. Sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that well, actually, you know what? I forgot about that baby sequence is pretty important because that's like, that really sets a tone almost immediately.
Right, but because I think the trailer kind of leaves you to believe that, is this religious? Is this really a witch?
Yeah.
You don't know if it's religion or an actual witch. And I think that proved right away that it was really a witch.
Yeah. And it didn't show like the death of the baby. Good. I'm glad we didn't, but it still kind of went pretty far there with the blood and that's pretty graphic. But subtly, but it was in natural light. Like most of this is shot in natural light, and it's shot with candlelight in that sequence, so it's kind of hard to really see some of the stuff. But anyway, let's jump back forward to the scene we're
at. We're creeping on 6 minutes left, so we got a boogie. The kid goes to the witch, and the witch lady actually makes out with the kid for a second, and that was like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? Because this has got to be an underage kid, is what I was thinking for the movie.
Yeah,
and then
was
it
pretty
cuts
crazy.
to the boy's gone missing, whatever.
Well. Her hand comes up, and her hand's not young. She looks like a young lady, but then her hand comes up and grabs him, and it's like all messed up looking.
Right, so she deceived his mind, which plays into the witch thing that she's deceiving. So anyway, the oldest girl ends up making it back to the farm. They can't find the boy or whatever. Well, she later on, I think it's the next night or night after that or whatever, she goes outside, finds the boy naked, standing out there, brings him back in. They move him to the top of the barn area, trying to bring him back. He's not responding at all. So he finally does respond. He comes up and says some stuff, religious type things, some really weird off the wall things. The two twins ends up flopping around. The parents already know that the twins think she's a witch. They've already called her a witch, the oldest daughter. So the mom for sure is thinking that the oldest daughter's a witch. The dad's starting to turn to think that she is. Lo and behold, that the boy dies during that. The twins end up faking that they were, being in this, I don't know, trance or something. They pop back out of it after dad threatens them. The dad puts the oldest girl, the two twins, in a barn, stables it shut. The mother has this weird dream sequence where she's thinking that the baby's alive, and she comes out there and she's trying to breastfeed, and it's this raven or bird or something pecking on her titty.
Yeah.
And she goes back to bed, and so she's got this bloody nipple. He wakes up the next morning, goes out there to check on the people in the barn, and it's demolished. The goats are all dead. There's like 2 or 3 goats out there. They're all dead.
Did you mention sorry, we're moving so fast. Did you mention the witch being in there?
Yeah, the witch that night, she was actually eating on the goat or something.
I think she was munching on the goat's titty, because earlier there was a scene where they were trying to get milk out of it and it was blood or something. I don't know. It was gross. Anyway.
3.5 minutes. So we got to move.
Oh, God.
All right, so the dad goes out there. The oldest daughter, is the only thing laid out in the open. He's looking at her, and the next thing he knows, he gets rammed by this goat head, kills him. The mother comes out, the oldest daughter kills her, and then the black goats is the sole survivor of all this, starts whispering and talking to the oldest daughter. All of a sudden, this book appears. He's like, you need to kind of sign this. She's like, well, I don't know how to write. And he's like, I'll help you. And then it shows her walking off after that into the woods naked. And then she walks up on this seance type thing that's happening around a fire. There are all these witches around. There's probably 6 or more. And then they all start floating up totally naked. So basically the black goat is the devil, and he's coaxing his workers, kind of like the witches, to work for him. This is pre-Salem, so it kind of makes sense before they went through and killed them all, so supposedly with history. But so basically the devil's recruiting through this black goat, and he's causing these families demolish themselves internally outward and taking the women or whatever his witches. And she wasn't a willing participant, but it was kind of crazy how smart it was to gradually turn her without her knowing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so
initially,
2 minutes.
I wasn't sure if she was actually the witch the whole time. This is where things started getting confusing to me. But
I don't
now
think
that
she
you've
was a witch
explained
the
it,
whole
it kinda
time.
makes
I think
sense.
that there was one that was close by that was working with the black goat, which was the devil, and trying to get her to join them.
Right. So that's the old lady.
Yeah.
Essentially. So that's the thing where I was confused. Like, the entity that's haunting them this whole time, it's like makes it play out like it's one witch. And that's what we see at the beginning, is one witch that kills the baby, and then it's that old lady or whatever. So
yeah, I think it's the same witch that's working on the family, that's knowing the weaknesses, that's knowing how to attempt to turn the family against the girl to help her turn to the dark side. And whenever she walks and makes that journey, we don't know how long she walks for, but it's obviously a meeting with the other witches that are in that area, in that territory.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I totally love the whole idea of it. It was a slow burn with a big payoff. Tiffany, my wife, absolutely hated the damn thing. She gave it like a 0, probably a negative if she could have. But she didn't understand, like, I've watched so many witch movies in the past, and this one actually had a payoff.
Well, and this one is based off of journals and written documents.
Yes, and they say that at the end. I'm glad you brought that up. They mentioned that this was taken out of actual diaries, journals, folklore. So this is awesome.
There's some history to this that kind of gives it some grounding, and I don't know. I guess makes it more intriguing.
Absolutely. I thought he nailed it. I thought it was a great job. So make sure to go see The Witch. This is kind of our spoiler review, or really just a discussion or walk through the film. If you learned anything from it, that's great. If not, we got 10 seconds. You want to say anything?
Go see it if you're into horror.
Absolutely. Go see it. Support this good stuff. It's not horror. It's more psychological. But thanks for watching. See ya.